So this is my webpage for the You Ought to Know project, and the topic that I chose to implement in this assignment pertains to students who have chosen to be English majors and are taking their lower division English courses. And this one specifically has to do with those in the course called Literary Genres in Translation. As the course has to do heavily with literature from other countries, with language and culture different from ours, I chose to focus on the translation aspect specifically and the difficulties involved with that. As such, I chose the title Getting Lost in Translation, as I felt that it would be the most appropriate choice. I then planned out my layout to be easily accessible to the people who are reading, while also trying to make it look professional and also informative as well as persuasive when it pertains to each of the entries that I wrote. The point of this webpage is to bring attention to newly decided English majors, the kind of analytical and critical thinking that is necessary, and to really show how important this aspect is to literature and the English field as a whole. It was made to be both informative and persuasive, the former being about why the aspect of the lower division class is prevalent, and the persuasion being about the degree of importance it holds towards culture. To the students that read it, it will also allow them to become aware just how extensive going into the English field really is, and for them to have a rough idea on how they should be looking at the courses they are studying, specifically the course that this webpage focuses on. This is the reason I started by describing the course they were in so that I can get them into a familiar territory of information before showing them examples and then persuading them on why this is all important to the English field as a whole. After that, I showed them examples of some of the books that they read in class so they could start to think a little bit more into detail about why this is all crucial. And then once that was done, I talked more about translation and why that is crucial to the literature and the English field, as well as the course itself. At the end, I ultimately reiterated my points right here so that students who are just skimming for relevant information can quickly scan that. And I chose to do this because I thought that web pages should accommodate all, even those who want quick opinions, but that it should also be there for those that want a more in-depth one or a more in-depth talk. As far as pictures are concerned, I chose them as I felt they might be appropriate for the entries and the webpage as a whole. And because this is an English webpage, I chose to use pictures that pertain to the subject as it's natural. I chose this world map here because a lot of the translated works that I mentioned in this page, and of course the ones that students will be going through in the course, all come from different countries, and as such start off in a language that is different from English. After that, I used pictures of the covers of some of the books that I used as sources so that students can have a visual reference ready for the examples. And then the remaining pictures I used were for aesthetical purposes so that the webpage itself looks more pleasing to the people reading it. But I also made sure that both of these pictures here pertain to the entries that they accompanied and weren't out of place as well. Finally, I ended everything with a list of sources that I used, both for work and for the images, so that anyone looking for more information can have a more in-depth look, and all they would need to do is go to these websites or see these books. And that is my webpage, Getting Lost in Translation, for the You Ought to Know project.